Hello friends, today we are going to learn about types of truth. Generally people consider truth as something which is same for everybody, and that is why generally truth is associated with one type of truth, that is objective truth. And science is generally about objective truth. But today we are going to learn different type of truth. So truth are broadly categorized in four categories, that is objective truth, normative truth, subjective truth and complex truth. So let's understand all four types of truth. The first and the most commonly understood meaning of truth is objective truth. Objective truth is something which remains same for everybody. It exists for itself. It is indifferent to the person who perceives the truth. And so objective truth can be defined as something which exists and it can be proved physically with evidence, reason or logic. It remains same for everyone and it is generally determined by some sort of scientific method. An example of objective truth could be law of gravity or 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Anybody can verify, and these truths remain same across the board for all humanity. Let's go to the second type of truth. This second type of truth is called normative truth. Now this is a truth which is not purely objective. It is basically decided by the people as a group. So when a group agrees something to be true, that is what is called normative truth. For example, if you want to determine who is the best leader, who is the most beautiful person, we generally do by voting. So a large number of people vote and decide who is the best leader or who is the beautiful person. Similarly, the normative truth is also stated by law, like taxation, smuggling, corruption, rights, duties. All these things are stated in the law, and so when we read those law, because laws are considered to be the collective will of the society, and so that is another method of knowing the normative truth. Third type of truth is decided by convention. There are certain things which cannot be said to be absolute truth, but if all the people decide to follow a particular pattern, that becomes a truth. For example, left hand driving, right hand driving. Now you cannot say whether left hand driving is right or right hand driving is right, but depending upon the country where you are, if the left hand driving is legal and permitted, then you should drive left, that is right. And if you are on the other countries where right hand driving is permitted, that is right. Then certain type of truths are evolved with time, like ethics and moral, tradition, culture. So for example, monogamy, faithfulness, honesty, all those things evolve with time, and so that is what is collectively decided. That is not something which is frozen in time and space, but that is also decided by the society. Now the third type of truth is called subjective truth. Now subjective truth is something where we feel, basically it is an individual truth. So that means how the individual sees or experiences the world. That is what is called subjective truth. It pertains to feeling and emotions which are experienced only by one person, only by that person. And that is why this type of truth is different for each person, even in the same situation. William Shakespeare has beautifully said, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So for example, when a policy is decided, some people will say this is good, some people will say this is bad. Now that is what is the subjective truth. Any particular incident take place, any war take place, some people will say it is good, some people say it is bad. Now those are the things which are basically pertaining to emotion. That is what is called subjective truth. Subjective truth is generally decided by questionnaire and surveys. And what type of truths are decided here, like love and hatred, whether you love a particular person or hatred, or you hate a policy or you love a policy, happy, sad, or something which give you pleasure, something which give you pain. The same thing can give pleasure to one person and pain to another person. Trust and distrust, all those things which are basically pertaining to emotions, those fall in the ambit of subjective truth. Then the fourth type of truth is complex truth. In the real world, we don't have purely objective, purely subjective, or purely normative truth, but sometimes all the truths come together, and that can be called as a complex truth. So complex truth is a combination of objective, normative, and subjective truths. And it is most applicable in the human affair. As we'll discuss further in the subsequent classes, you will understand that most of the issues, for example, something is right or wrong, it is decided not as an objective truth, but as a complex truth, because it involves all the three types of truth: normative truth, objective truth, and subjective truth. And generally, you require an adjudicator or a court to decide about the truthfulness or the rightness of something. For example, if suppose a murder has taken place. Now, what is the law? That is one thing you should know. But that is not sufficient, because law has to be interpreted. Then, whether the person who has actually instrumental in killing the person, whether the person has intention. And then, ultimately, what is the norm of the society? For example, if somebody has killed because his daughter was raped and the court did not take any action, then that will be viewed differently and people will consider that to be right. Then, if suppose a person kills an innocent person. So ultimately, it all varies in the society. The same action may be considered right in one country, and some same action may be considered wrong in another country, depending upon all the three types of truth which are to be interpreted by the courts or adjudicator. In the same way, suppose there has been sex between two people. So the fact remains that yes, there was a sex, but whether the sex was forced or voluntary, and whether the person should be punished or not, that's a complex truth which is decided by the court. In the same way, if suppose there is a picture, whether that picture is obscene or not obscene, that is again something which is a complex truth, and that can be decided only by the courts. So friends, today we learned about the four types of truths. And these four types of truths we should understand, because when we are going to deal with human beings, we have to use all types of truths. We must have the knowledge of all types of truths, because truth is not absolute or objective all the time. And only when we know all the four types of truth and use it appropriately, then only we can use our critical thinking to understand the truth or the reality. Thank you very much.